What's going on, everybody? Tim here with Morphed Out Reptiles, bringing you another video. Today's topic is going to be quarantine. So we're going to dig into some quarantine steps and just talk a little bit about the process and why it is so important. If you are new to the channel, we want to say we appreciate you stopping in and checking us out. If you would and want to stay updated with everything, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And yeah, let's get into this video. Thanks for tuning back in with us. As the beginning of the video had stated, the topic today is going to be quarantine. But first off, as always, I want to give a shout out to Redline Shipping, Robin, AJ, the whole team over at Redline. Thank you for the shirt. Great company. We love their customer service, and it's just top-notch work by a good team of people to make sure that our shipments are healthy and arrive to you guys, our customers, safely. So shout out to Robin and the Redline team. But anyway, so let's get into it. The topic is quarantine, and this is a little bit different video. Normally we're showing animals off, talking projects. We're kind of narrowing down our little segments to kind of gene-based videos. And then I also want to start adding in some videos like this one with just information and try to help educate and try to help somebody out there out with maybe there's an issue that's going on or something like that. So I think this is very important to keep learning from, whether it's new breeders, older breeders that are veterans, well-established guys. We can all learn from everybody, and that's the goal here, is to help build the community stronger and bring everybody together. So quarantine is a very, very important step that I believe anybody with even two animals coming in, 200 animals, it doesn't matter. I think quarantine is very important. And the reason we say quarantine is important is because everybody thinks quarantine is strictly for making sure an animal's not sick or something's wrong with it. And your majority of that is correct. But at the same time, quarantine can also mean, if I'm buying an expensive animal and I know the breeder, I've done business with the breeder for many, many years. I know that their stuff is clean. I know that their collection is clean. I know that their animals and everything is well maintained. But at the same time, quarantine can also help in situations as far as acclimation into your collection. And I think a lot of people miss, or they don't think about that enough. We've even had it, we're on the East Coast in Maryland, so I've had very, very few, but I have had stuff from like the West Coast or something like that come in, and they don't want to jump right on food. Most of our success has really had, within about 2 weeks, every animal is on food, and we're happy with that. But at the same time, I look at quarantine as not only as always this animal sick or anything like that, but it also just gives the animal some time to acclimate to our system, how we do it, what our cleaning days are, the temperatures here, and everything like that. When it comes to quarantine, even if we're getting a new animal in, I don't open the box or the animal in the snake room. Our place here, we have a main room for the snakes. I mean, right behind me is the baby wall. We have our adults. I only have geckos in another location, but it's only on the outside of our actual snake room building part. But our quarantine, like even opening a new box and trying to film unboxings and stuff like that, we see it all the time. People put, they're in their facility or in their main room, and then they're like, hey, it's going to go to quarantine. Well, it kind of defeats the purpose, because you've already broken the barrier from that new animal entering in the collection. So we always try to, if we're going to do an unboxing or anything like that, we always either try to wait till quarantine is done, or we'll do a video in the quarantine area, and that way it has no interaction with the normal collection and stuff like that. Um, Me personally, here quarantine we do 60 to 90 days. Um, I basically have it narrowed down. Everybody's quarantine situation is different. For me, I found it a little bit more helpful trying to keep the same tubs that they're going to be moving into once they go into the normal collection. So we have a V18 rack like this one behind me, just typical V18 tub with belly heat, and then we use a Vision 35 rack. That is similar to the 28 quart for Sterilite. Unfortunately, in our actual main room for the snakes, we use ARS. So I don't feel it necessary to have a big system or even the single stack for that, because I try not to add a lot of animals in at one time. And if I am adding animals, we kind of keep our quarantine at a maximum, because I want to have extra tubs in case something, happens to one of the animals in the collection. They can go to the quarantine, and I don't want to have another collection in quarantine, if that makes sense. So we have limited spaces, and I try to stick with that. Quarantine, when we do a setup, obviously when we unbox an animal, we obviously do a physical check of the animal, check the mouth, make sure it doesn't have any bubbles or anything. We wipe the snake down with a paper towel to make sure that there's no visible mites or anything like that. In their enclosure for quarantine, we just do paper towel as the substrate and a water cup. This allows me to check them over the next couple times a week over the next probably the first month, and just make sure that nothing pops up. Not saying that everybody is going to have these issues, but the thing with reptile mites are they can be dormant, and they could be to where you can't even see them. So it's something that we just do that as a precautionary. White paper towels is easy to spot that if that was an issue. Thankfully for us, knock on wood, we've never had to deal with that, but we are prepared to deal with it if need be. Again, that's another reason why quarantine is so important, because if we bring it in, even to unbox it in the snake room, let's say unfortunately we received a snake that had mites. As soon as I unbox that in the snake room, and we take it, an unboxing video, 5-10 minutes, whatever, and then we put it in quarantine, that's already enough time for, if there was anything, mites or anything like that, they're already in the room. And it's just not worth risking a collection, even if you have 2 snakes. I'd rather try to deal with one animal that has an issue versus even 3 or plus. So it's just a safety precaution that I really recommend, is just do everything with the quarantine animal in the quarantine area. We never have interactions with our normal collection and an animal in quarantine or the quarantine area. If you guys have watched any of the other videos, our feeding day, cleaning day is Saturday for the main room, and feeding day is Sunday. So if I have quarantine animals, I'll probably deal with those on a Thursday or a Friday. Never have any interaction in between the stuff, to try to keep everything as sanitary and as clean as possible. But yeah, I mean, quarantine is, again, it gives you a chance to look at the animal, make sure that it's eating, make sure that over the next couple weeks in quarantine everything's going smoothly. And it also try to tell people to, when you're unboxing, or if you receive an animal, always open the box and make sure that the animal's good. Do a quick check. Our visual check when we're getting something new in, it's just quick, couple minutes out of the time. But it also is for the customer. If something was to go wrong, you can let them know within. I try to tell people we'd like to get a response if something was wrong within an hour of it being signed for. But it's just to make sure that both parties, hey, everything's good, or hey, if you have a discrepancy and something went wrong, I'm letting the breeder know immediately, like as soon as possible, so that, hey, look, I just picked it up, it just went into quarantine, I noticed this, and then go from there with the breeder. But I just there's a lot of new people coming into the industry every year, and we see a lot of videos with quarantine and preaching quarantine, but then we'll open new boxes in our snake room and stuff like that, and it's kind of a situation where you're fighting yourself. But easy couple steps that could all be avoided. So I strongly encourage everybody, quarantine. Even if it's, it doesn't matter if it's a high-end breeder. I have some of our good friends that we've done business with for years. We still quarantine the animals. It's just better safe than sorry. So, yeah, I mean, we do, again, the time frame, we do 60 to 90 days. If the snake goes through, 60 to 90 days passes, nothing happens, everything's been good with the snake's eating and everything like that, we'll start transitioning over to the collection. If for some reason, let's say we have 8 animals in quarantine, we get a new animal in and something's going, it starts off great and then something happens. If there is, I've never dealt with mites, so I've never had to deal with that. But if there's something whether it's like a respiratory or, something finicky, I will start the quarantine time for the entire quarantine room over. It's kind of redundant, I think, in some aspects, because if like one snake has had, we'll say in the 90 days, one snake has had, 8 meals or 9 meals and they missed 1 meal. I'm not going to look at that as starting our quarantine process going over. But if for some reason we were to get to the point where, hey, we have quarantine animals, oh, we have this animal that we just got in, unfortunately it had, snake mites or a respiratory. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to contact the breeder immediately. That's the first thing. Get photos, video, documentation. Hey, check all this out. Boom, boom, boom. Deal with that. But we still have to deal with the situation until it gets resolved further. So if that was the case, anything that's in quarantine would automatically be, their time frame would start over, and we would treat and pay attention to the other animals to make sure that the quarantine process is going smooth. I see this so much when people are at shows and it's breeding season, and people are buying adult females or buying adult breeder males, and they're like, yeah, I have this ready to go. And I've also received as far as somebody buying a breeder, and then a couple hours later they send us pictures, hey, it locked up with my female. I strongly discourage against actions like that. It's just, there's a lot of error, and honestly, at the end of the day, you don't want to end up, messing up your collection or having some issues go wrong. Even just from stress. Our animals are clean. We do, our main thing with our collection is that everything is as sanitary as possible, just making sure that the animals are in a healthy environment. But even going from a show and driving, some of these shows people travel, anywhere from an hour up to, we've traveled as far as 12 hours to a show. That transition is stressful to the animal, so things could happen, and it's just not a good practice to just throw the animals in right away. Do a quarantine process so that you can make sure that moving forward everything's going to be good. But yeah, that's just my little take on the quarantine process. Always here to, take messages. Best way to get in touch with us would be Instagram quickly, or comment on our videos. And we're always happy to answer any questions that you have, or if you're having an issue, if I'm able to lend assistance and help, I'm definitely would be more than willing to do so. But again, I think it's very important. Remember, quarantine your animals. Quarantine, guys. So again, I appreciate you guys stopping in. Just a quick little video going over a little bit of just a different topic than showing off some snakes. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.